What's up, guys? Shawn here. That was a horrible intro. What's up? So tonight we're doing something different than we've done before. We are multi-streaming to both of my channels at the same time. I was going to stream to Facebook and YouTube, but Facebook is locked at my work. And so when I was setting all this up, I could not access Facebook. But something that's interesting is I can chat to both channels at the same time, or I can select which channel I want to chat to. But the only issue is, since I'm streaming to two channels and they're both YouTube, I don't know who's chatting to me from which channel. So we got an awesome pro and then we got an awesome con at the same time. So, but it's all good. So this is the pre-show. And what we do in the pre-show is we make sure that mic levels are good, that you guys can see me, you guys can hear me, the chat's working, all that good stuff. Am I lit good enough? All those things. So I had some weird things going on last week. I tried the green screen, but what's up, Brent? So I tried the green screen capabilities of StreamYard out last week, and I was somewhat satisfied with it, but I believe the processing made it really, really compressed. So it spent so much time figuring out the green screen the entire time that my video quality wasn't that great. It was very noisy and very kind of, I don't know, sporadic. So when you've got a beard of many colors, like I do, a lot of times and I forget, I'm completely spacing on what the term is, but it's like that screen door effect. Like if you're moving over, I get it a lot when I fly some of my drones over a complex scene where there's lines, or sometimes I see it on like a roof that has like an air conditioner on top of it. If I'm on top of a building, the building will look great until I get to the roof, and then there's like big air conditioning units that have all these vents on them, and the drone camera just can't handle. I keep wanting to say Dior, but it's not. It's something. I can't even think of it right now. So this is going to be a live stream. Hopefully it's not an absent-minded live stream, but yeah, it is what it is, guys. This is February 11th. I got my Dr. Pepper. I've also got some coffee over there, and we're planning on talking about this guy. I've had a couple days to play with it so far. I like all the Moray. I knew it was something like Dior. I was close. But so I'm loving this camera. There are some caveats to it that are kind of interesting that a lot of people won't like, but I also think it's very awesome. And so we're going to talk about this camera. Plans on my channel are to compare. So this is the 4K mod. This is the year of mods. GoPro is putting out a lot of mods. Autel is putting out like a modular drone with, replaceable cameras. The unique drones you've been able to swap out cameras on, and even a lot of the Cinewhoops have a bunch of different types of, mounts, so you can put different types of cameras on there. But everybody is jumping on the GoPro train. So you used to have GoPro action cameras, and then some other companies came out with cameras, but they didn't really compete with GoPro until I think the Yi cameras are really, really good. But you'll see, like, you go to GameStop and there'll be like an HD action camera, or Vivitar came out with one, which was a joke. Just a bunch of different action cameras like popping up everywhere. Insta360, well, okay, so DJI, DJI is one of those companies that started out in, they have video cameras, but drones are really their thing. And then, they came out with gimbals and then hybrid gimbals with 4K cameras on them that were all just kind of okay. The DJI, the DJI Osmo cameras were good at a distance, but DJI was pretty good at making cameras that were good at a distance. But when it came to close up, they failed in a lot of cases. I would say the DJI Osmo Pocket is probably the closest thing, but it's still messed up with focusing. And there was no option to just do a GoPro focus. It was like, we're going to try to focus on you, but we've got this kind of a weird focus thing that is on the money sometimes, but can fail at times. And then when they came out with the DJI Osmo Action is pretty legit. It's, compared to the GoPros, they're awesome. And the fact that you can look at what you're filming in the front, you can do a vlog view. So it's got a front screen and a back screen. That's amazing. And then, so DJI is a company that didn't used to do action cameras, but now they do. And then, see what's going on. Interesting. So what I was talking about, DJI, they decided to do an action camera. And then Insta360 is one of those companies that have done 360 cameras, but every time they come out with a new camera, they've done something innovative. Okay. So you've got, I would say, so they kind of started out with like this big boxy camera. And then they also did cameras that attached to your smartphones and used all the technology on your smartphone to handle a lot of the processing. So this is the first one that I got. This is the Insta360 one. And it has a lightning port on it. Or a lightning, it's not a port. What's the opposite of a port? I don't remember. But so it's got a lightning plug that you would plug into your phone. Super cool, super useful, but it was also a standalone. So this was kind of the first one that was the best of both worlds with Insta360 was just the Insta360 One. And then the Insta360 One X came out, and this thing revolutionized little 360 cameras. It's thin, super thin. So the stitch line is tiny. Stabilization is ridiculous. It had just about everything that I wanted in a camera. You can swap out the batteries. You can swap out SD cards. So that's awesome. But, Insta360 has primarily been a 360 camera company. With the Evo, they started moving into hybrid cameras where it would be 360 or it would go into a VR 180. And I cannot find my Insta360 Evo for anything. So I'm hoping to do a video about it when I'm talking about this, because they're coming out with a VR 180 mod. But this is what we're going to talk about tonight. Everybody's talking about a wreck. Who was in a car wreck? Brett Nunley was in a wreck today? That's not good. Sorry, guys. I got a little squirrel. Kind of off topic. Brett Nunley is one of my subscribers that is in here a lot. And man, that stinks that he got in a car wreck. I hope he's okay. Man, I feel like my hair's sticking out. I don't like that. Yeah, Mel, thanks for commenting on my setup. I really need to sit here. That way my logo can be over there. Yeah, basically what I've got going on in the background, I was doing stuff with overlays, but overlays kept kind of getting in my way. All right, Brent Newman says, you may be referring to my Facebook post about distracted driving. The photo was from my wreck 2 years ago. 17-year-old girl hit me while fondling her phone. So that was fake news. We just had fake news on Shawn Ide Studios. Good job, Nacho. I'm just kidding. Well, that's actually great news that Brent Nunley wasn't in a car wreck. So if you're wondering what we're talking about this right here. Yeah, Nacho, you're going to sit in the corner for, I don't know how to mute you. So I noticed that, so Mel said that he was watching from Shawn Ide Studios. I assume everybody in here so far is watching from Shawn Ide Studios because, yeah, Mel, it sounds like that was just some, a memory from Brent Newman from 2 years ago. So, but just so you guys know, I care about the person a lot more than I care about anything else. So if you guys are going through something tough and you need to talk, let's get on here and talk about it. I can put on a show and I can make a topic happen. But I could care less about subscribers. I'd much more care about the actual people that are subscribing as opposed to just being a number. So I know last week I kind of talked about my 5,000 subscribers and I was all excited, but when it really comes down to it, this is my hobby. I have a blast doing it. I love getting new cameras and drones and playing with them. And the only way that I can actually do that is to, play the game a little bit, but I don't want to ever be dishonest. I don't ever want to be manipulative. I just want to hang out with my cool technology and hang out with you guys on Tuesday nights and maybe even other nights. But all right, Mel's going to go smoke a toke. He'll be back. Brent Newman said that's why we're Shawn fans. I appreciate that, Brent. Not sure what that means, Nacho. So, yeah. So what time is it? 6:47. I don't really want to get into the topic that much until 7, because I want the people that are showing up at 7 to, to be part of the conversation. But I had some weird things go on today. So today was the first time in the trailer video today was the first time that I used this mod. So this is the action camera mod. I want to keep calling it the GoPro mod, but this is not a GoPro camera. GoPro is a company. But this is, this mod is a 4K action camera. There was one thing that was really frustrating to me today. The reason I use action cameras is because I can record a video by just the press of a button. It's basically point and click, and I get beautiful 4K video that's colored nicely. And lately they've the audio has been ridiculously good. The Osmo Action, the audio is good. GoPro Hero 8, I would say, is probably the best audio. This is pretty good though. But this camera had a post. I had to handle the files in post because it recorded in a Insta360 video file, which I'm used to with the Insta360 other cameras. But for some reason in my head, I expected when you plugged in the GoPro mod, when you plugged in the action camera mod, I expected it to pop out an MP4 or an MOV or something that went directly into my Final Cut Pro, but that wasn't the case. So I think this camera's awesome. And there's probably a setting somewhere that makes it record straight to an MP4. I feel like I might have, wanted to record it in, high bit rate or something like that. I'm sure I clicked on some setting that made it do that. But when I play around with this some more, I'm going to try to figure out how to get it to just record, an MP4 or MOV. But the cool part of it was once I got it into Insta360 Studio, I was able to change the field of view. I was able to turn on voice enhancing. I was able to turn on stabilization. So there were a lot of things in Insta360 Studio that lets you take the video files from this camera and make them even better and export them the way that you want. Whereas a lot of other action cameras, you have to change the setting in the camera, but you're stuck with whatever video settings you put into that camera. Okay. So I think it bugged me today because I was in a hurry, but I think it's awesome at the same time. Okay. So yeah, so that is what it is. Okay. For those of you joining, what's up, Rick? Welcome to Shawn Ide Studios, Studio Sessions, Tuesday night. I got to figure out how to say that. I keep saying, I just need to call it Tuesday night Studio Sessions and just be done with it. Tuesday night, welcome to Tuesday night Studio Sessions. How's that? Nacho says the GoPro Max has really good sound. I totally agree with that. Actually, the GoPro Max probably has better audio than the GoPro Hero 8 just because it has more microphones and it can read the situation better. Whereas the GoPro Hero 8, I think only has 3 microphones. One in the front, one in the back, maybe one in the bottom. I forget exactly what that is. But cameras are starting to come out with multiple microphones to read the situation. So if wind is coming from one direction, it cuts that microphone off and records from a different microphone that's not being affected by wind. So it's really good at like figuring out where your voice is. Earbuds have the same kind of technology. If the wind's hitting you in your left ear, it'll start recording from the mic in your right ear, little things like that. So Nacho said that the iPhone 11 Pro Max has killer audio. Yeah, iPhones are getting really, really good, guys. With all the sensors and all the like the light sensors and the even the lighting in the flash. Like there's so much technology in that stupid little LED flash. I think that's amazing. So yeah. So did you guys so something else something else that's going to go on in my channel. You guys saw in the trailer for this live stream that I was kind of setting up my new e-bike. I got the Swagtron EB8, the Outlaw. And compared to my Citizen Soul, it is awesome. The only problem is it barely fits in my Jeep. but I can still get it in my Jeep, close the door, go to work without having a bike rack and all that stuff. But super excited about that bike. It's got like 20-inch fat tires on it. The only downside is that the handle doesn't fold down, but I'm going to deal with the handle not folding down. It's going to allow me to like ride my bike 10 miles to a location, do a video, ride my bike 10 miles back. And I can pedal if I want to, but I don't have to because it has a motor on it, electric motor and a battery. And and there's not the chance of me wrecking like I did on my Segway, because that hurt a lot. So yeah, super cool. Super excited about that. Nacho said he's blown away with the iPhone still months later. Nacho, remind me again, what did you upgrade from? I know the new iPhone with the 3 cameras on it. The Pro version has a lot of great specs. When you were in town, we went through the light or the night mode. And I thought that was pretty impressive. And the idea that you can record from 3 different cameras at the same time, I think is awesome. But I don't remember what phone you had before. So you had the iPhone 10. So you skipped a generation and went straight to the 11 Pro Max. I have the XS Max is what I have. But Nacho said Segway to the hospital. Yeah, I hurt myself a lot on that Segway. So I sold it and used that to buy an electric e-bike. So for those of you that don't know, tonight we are trying something new. Every week I try to innovate. I try to better myself. I try to figure out things as I go. So what we're doing tonight, I went through several different live streaming platforms, and I have decided to go with StreamYards for 2020, just because 4K is something that I really, really want. To even 1080 is something that I really, really want. But all of the platforms that offer that, there's a whole lot of extra things you have to think about. And I want to, and I know I have the knowledge to set it up, and I'm good at figuring things out and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm finding now that I'm in my 40s, I'm having a harder time multitasking. So this show is something like with StreamYards, I can just turn it on and go. I was able to, since it's on the internet and on the cloud, I was able to, while I was at work, I was able to set up the live stream. I can even make changes with, I can make changes on my iPad. I can do all these different things with StreamYards because it's kind of a cloud-based system, whereas vMix, something that I played with last week, vMix is awesome, and it's got so many different aspects to it. But because it's not cloud-based, everything is stuck on this computer. And with my current lifestyle, going back and forth, all these different places, I couldn't use vMix. Some of the cloud-based options were there, but with this year wanting to bring guests on the channel, also the idea of setting up a forum where people just talk and we can just hang out, StreamYards is the option that I decided to choose. I know Mel was encouraging me to try vMix, and I did try it out, but I would spend so much time focusing on my live stream that I wouldn't make any other videos. And that's something that I've been kind of slacking on lately, is because I really want this live stream to get off the ground, and I'm spending a lot of extra effort into it. But the other videos on my channel are not happening. So I feel like I've got I feel like I've got a good thing going on Tuesday nights with StreamYards. I keep talking to the people at StreamYards because there's a couple things that I really want them to add, and then this would be perfect. They're actually planning on going to 1080. And I heard that they were going to 1080 this year, but I'm not sure if that's true or just rumor. But they're adding new things all the time. So overlay videos. I think the fact that it's in the cloud is brilliant, because I can actually stream from, the Marriott in the lobby or something like that. Whereas some of the other setups, I have to have a beefy computer, and it's kind of stuck in my office. So yeah, so that's that. I'll probably use Streamlabs on my iPad when I'm out, and then I'll use StreamYards here. But I can set up a future stream, and I can go in here and make edits to it and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that I really, really like. I can add a logo. I can log in at work and add a logo or add an overlay that I made on my lunch break, and then come home and just turn the thing on and go. So, but what we're doing tonight is since I'm paying for the $25 a month subscription to StreamYards, I can stream to multiple locations. I can stream to 2 locations. So we are streaming to Shawn Ide Studios and Shawn Ide. So we're streaming to 2 channels tonight. So yeah. So what we're going to do is I am going to try this. This was just an idea that I had. But so 7 o'clock, let's run the intro. I should have been full screen, but it wasn't. All right, welcome to the live show, guys. So we've got a pretty good forum going on. We got 4 people in the chat. We had 9 people in the chat for a while, but welcome to Shawn Ide Studio Sessions. Dang it, I messed that up again. Welcome to Tuesday Night Studio Sessions. We are here. We're live on Tuesday night. It is February 11th, and we're going to be talking about this guy. This is the Insta360 1R. My lighting is really bad. I need like a little downlight or something that goes over my product. But so yeah, we've got Rick Halber is in the house. We've got Nacho Rolling. We've got Brent Newman. We've got Mel. I don't know your last name, Mel. And I think that's all that has spoken to me. There were other people here, but these are all the people that have actually said something. So yeah, so we're streaming on 2 different YouTube channels tonight. I might stream to Facebook and YouTube next week. I might do some testing this week just to try it out. I think if I was streaming to YouTube and Facebook, I would be able to tell who was chatting to me from which platform. The problem with tonight is all I see is a little YouTube icon. I don't see what channel the chatting is coming in from. So, Mel Cook. Nice to meet you, Mel. We've chatted several times on different platforms, but it's nice to know your last name. I will forget it. Probably if it's not written anywhere. But so Mel said, Shawn, do any of the 360 cameras do on-the-go stitching in the app? So there's a couple different things. So there's in-camera stitching, and then there's in-app stitching. A lot of the and Mel's watching me on Shawn Ide Studios. So the 360 cameras, um, every 360 camera that I own handles things differently. The like the Garmin Verb 360 was probably the first one that I had that did anything over 4K, but it couldn't handle over 4K in camera. So stitch it would stitch it in the camera if you recorded in 4K. But needed to, if you recorded in raw, they called it raw mode. It wasn't really raw. It just happened to be unstitched video. That version, you had to actually use the desktop app to render. Its 360 cameras have in-app stitching. So you can download the video to your phone and stitch it. Okay. If you do it on the computer, like on a desktop computer, you can actually batch render all of your files at the same time. So that's awesome, and I love that. The DJI drones that have sphere mode, what they do is they do in-app stitching of I think it's like 48 images, which is kind of what I used to do with the DSLR camera. But the DJI drones are hit or miss, depending on how complex the sky is. So if you think about a DJI Mavic Pro, it points forward. The camera doesn't go up. The camera kind of points. It either points straight down or straight forward. So when it's taking all those pictures, it will it'll fake the sky. It's pretty easy to do for the drone because the drone is actually in the sky. So it has some information about the sky to kind of blur up into the top part. But what I've done with a lot of the pictures that I've taken with DJI drones is I will bring another 360 camera and I'll take a picture from the ground. And then while my drone is up in the air, since the clouds are so far away from your drone, you can fake it pretty easy. But getting and usually the sun is somewhere, so you can line up your 360-degree picture from the ground. You can line the sun up with the sun, kind of the bright part of your DJI shot. So Mel said, I mean, on the go. So can you watch on the app in 360 Insanity on a live scene shot? Yeah, you're right, Mel. But I guess what I was saying is the camera doesn't actually go all the way up to the top. So you're missing, I think you're missing there's like 270 degrees is what you get. And so you're like missing out on like 90 degrees. So on the go, I don't know where, I don't think I have a pair on me right now. But some cameras come with, and you can get them at like Walmart or on Amazon. But if you watch a video on your phone, let's see if I can pull one up. I wish I had my iPad set up now that we're talking about this. But so yeah, let's see if I can. It's been a long time since I've really used an app to do my stitching. Most of the time, my workflow now is on desktop, but So let's see. Okay, so here's a good idea. So this is a picture that I took on the Insta360, and this is kind of what the app does. So it stitches it together. It actually stitches it together pretty perfect. I have a tripod in the stitch line, but that's because I was planning on just knocking that out in Photoshop. But yeah, so you can go through and, like, I turned it into a planet. I can zoom out, look around. I can't do this while the drone's in the air, if that's your question. So if you're talking about live, are you talking about just so that you can see if it's in frame or not? Or so let's just do that. So this is the Insta360 1R, and it's modular, so I can take this off, pop the battery off, rip the camera off, and then I can switch to 360 mod. Okay. All right. So this is the 360 mod. I'm just going to sit it down here and turn it on. We're going to go into the Insta360 1R app. I'm going to hook into it. All right, so as you can see, I can look into it, and you guys can see my entire studio. If I switch it over to video mode, okay, so we're in video mode, and I'm going to start recording. Okay, guys, so it is actually recording video right now, and I'm watching it live as it happens. Okay, is that what you're asking? Okay, sweet. Yes, we got a question answered on the studio tonight. So yeah, if what you're asking, can we do this while it's on a drone? This is kind of it's Wi-Fi, but if you get far away from the camera, there's so much information going back and forth that the lag and the connection gets lost a lot quicker than if you're thinking about like a Wi-Fi drone that's up in the air. Okay, so if you were, let's say you had this 360 camera on your drone and it was up in the air, chances are you wouldn't be able to do this up there. So if you were planning on doing like FPV, I'm not quite sure how that would work. I do have, so Mel says, sorry, I keep talking to you because I know you're a drone guy. So I keep putting drones in the mix, but yes, you can do this. And there's, I don't know when they're going to set this camera up, but for the Insta360 One X, there is a VR app where you can actually look into the camera while it's running. So that's pretty cool, but I never really found a reason for that because I could just take my headset off and be there. You know what I mean? I get it um, if you want to watch, you know, some other environment. Like I have this app called Wonder that's on my Oculus Quest, and it's one of my favorite apps. And there's really not much to it. A uh, it's basically just a Google Street View viewer, but you can fly around like Superman all over Google Earth, and then stop in these different locations, and then look at a street view from there. So it wasn't last night; it was the night before. I was in some other country, and I was just flying around the country. I don't remember if it was Kazakhstan or um, where exactly it was, but I found this temple. It was like a Muslim temple, and it was white with these beautiful paintings all over it, and you could tell like where there were these places where they put down their little prayer cloths and did all these cool things. And so I love that app, and a lot of that is why I'm like really into 360 stuff, is because um, I like going to actually the most amazing experience I've ever had in VR was when the World Cup was going on and Oculus had venues. And so you could sit in on like the 50, it's not the 50-yard line. You could sit, um, you could, um, you could sit in the middle of the field, and you could look around and you could watch the World Cup as it happened. And then on screen, whenever there was something good happened and they were going to do a replay, they'd bring the screen out on the field and you could see the replay, and then they'd take it back away. And since it was in VR and since it was on Oculus, you could sit in the stands with other people, and all these people were from all over the world, just hanging out, watching the World Cup together, and you could talk to them. I could sit next to a guy, and he was probably in California or something, and I could talk to him. And then this guy over here is like in China or Mexico or like, some place, and I could be sitting between a person from California and a person from Mexico, and we could just be talking like we're sitting in the same room and we're watching the same game. So those are experiences that I love and I'm super excited about. And so that's why I think live streaming is cool. Like, how cool would it be for me to set up a live stream in the middle of a honky tonk bar downtown Nashville where there's live music happening, and someone from another country can come in and just listen to country music at a bar in Nashville. You know what I mean? So it's cool. Everybody has something to offer where they live, whether they live in a big city or even like, out on a farm somewhere. I would love to I forgot to turn my Insta360 off. I would love to just sit in the middle of a field and hang out with cows. I don't necessarily want to go to a field and hang out with cows because I don't like the smell, and I don't like the idea of a big animal that's bigger than me that can stampede over me and hurt me. But I would love to sit in the field and watch cows. I would love to hang out with turkeys. I would love to be on a babbling brook and watch a deer come up and take a drink. Little things like that really excite me. But I don't know how you can set up a camera and get those experiences without being there. Something else I've done, I did this with the Garmin Verb 360, is we had an eclipse in the middle of the day several years ago, and I put the camera in the middle of a field. And what was very interesting about that video was the bugs, because all the bugs that make sounds, there are a lot of bugs that only come out at night, or they only are vocal at night. And so in that video, whenever the sun was covered by the moon and the Earth was dark for a minute or however 30 seconds or however long it was, the Garmin Verb 360 has 360 sound. So when you're watching that video in a VR headset, you can look around, you can hear all the bugs around you, and they just kind of go crazy once it goes dark, and then all the sound kind of goes away at the same time. So it's super cool. Nacho says he has cows all around me. Are you still in Colorado? Those are some cold cows. Steve Carpenter says, you are Shawn Ide Studios. You're hanging out with us turkeys. Yeah, y'all are a bunch of turkeys. That's funny. I heard a funny joke today. Are you ready? It's super dad joke. But what do you call a fake noodle? First one to get that joke on the chat gets a sticker. What do you call a fake noodle? So yeah. So we are talking about the Insta360 One R. Yeah, Mel. Steve Carpenter says drive pasta. So Mel, the question was, what do you call a fake noodle? Oh, Brent Newman got it. Brent, you already have a sticker. It's an impasta. I heard that on a commercial today, and I thought that was really, really funny. But yeah, Mel, I'm up to talk whenever. Yeah, I've been into 360 cameras before I even had a YouTube channel. But they really started picking up right when I started my YouTube channel. So that's kind of what I focused on for about a year. And Brent, did you Google that? Or did you know that? Just curious. Yeah, if I had a YouTube channel, which I did have a YouTube channel back then, but I didn't do anything on it. Back in like 2008, okay, I would take a DSLR camera, and I use this thing called a Panasaurus. Let's see if we can find that. I don't even know if I spelled that right. That's the logo, though. I think that's the logo. Maybe that's not the logo. It's a good thing to look at what I'm about to show you guys before I show you guys, because there are some inappropriate things on here. Maybe it's a Panosaurus. Oh, that's it. Panosaurus. That's not a good picture of it. Let me see. Well, dang it. There we go. We can show that. There we go. So this is a Panosaurus. And this is what I used to use to take 360-degree photos. If you look at it, so like down here, I can't. Is it showing my mouse? Okay. So down here where the level is, that's what you would hook up to your tripod. And then it had all these little markings on it that would help you take a precise picture. And then basically you would face your camera straight out in this direction. Or wait, no, sorry. You'd face your camera in this direction. And basically what that would do is it would put the end of the lens centered on where the tripod is. So as you spin this around, your lens is actually in the center of the picture. So that's how I used to take 360-degree photos. And it was a process where I would like take 48 different images. Then I would pull it into, I would either use Hugin or Autopano. And I would use those programs to stitch them together. And then if the stitch didn't work out correctly, you'd have to go through and put a dot on this picture and put a dot in the same place on the next picture. And basically what you're doing is you're taking these two images and you're stitching them together in all these different spots. There was no like crazy algorithm to just automatically do things. And back then it was kind of, you know, it wasn't a precise science because it was all based on the user putting his camera lens in the right spot. And it's kind of where I would use a tool like this. But nowadays, when I'm going to get rid of this. Nowadays, when you have something like this, they know where the lenses are. They know exactly where they are. Super cool. So WrestleMania, what's up? We are streaming to 2 YouTube channels right now. So we're trying this out. So far, everything seems to be going well. I don't even know how the stream on my other channel is going because I haven't even kept up with that channel for a long time. But WrestleMania says, hello, everyone. Stopping in for a quick hello. Just got back from a class. Welcome. Steve Carpenter says, no, Brent Newman. I gave my order to Shawn so he can get one before winter ends. I was in the first batch and Shawn was in batch 3, so snow would all be gone. Yeah, I think that the next thing that I'm going to get, I watched a video today with Captain Drone. He did a review of a Bumblebee Cinewhoop. So I think that Cinewhoop is going to be my introduction into FPV flying. I watched Ken Heron. Ken Heron had a different drone, but it was tiny. So I'm really thinking about the Bumblebee because the Bumblebee it has a mount that you can buy for the Hero 8. So I would love to fly the GoPro Hero 8 around in FPV. And then I might be able to, since this is a lot like a GoPro Hero 8, I might be able to fashion this design a 360-degree, design a 3D printed mount that will make this happen. Or whenever I get my 360 aerial kit, I might fashion that into the Cinewhoop. So super excited about that. But probably won't do much of that until this summer because I have to pay off some of the Insta360 cameras that I bought lately. And I bought a $800 bike. So I need to slow down on the spending, at least wait until I get a bonus or something. That's awesome, Steve. So yeah, if I haven't mentioned it, I probably haven't mentioned it, but there are a lot of people in this channel that also have YouTube channels. So if you would go show your support for those channels and like a couple videos, subscribe, and give them some kind of airtime. We all do videos, and we don't really get much back for doing the videos. So it's nice to support each other, and it kind of helps the validate what we do, and kind of helps keep the momentum going. So Nacho said, "Don't go to his." If you like cute little puppies, you should check out Nacho's latest stuff. His little dog is ridiculously cute. So yeah. So it's 7:30. We've been going on for an hour. Woo! So that's awesome. I did remember to monetize the video this week. Since I've been moved over to StreamYards, my actual live streams haven't been monetized, and so I've been missing out on, it's like my longest videos on my channel, and I didn't even monetize them or whatever. So I'm going to move the screen over to, sorry, my kids showed up and I'm not sure what's going on outside of my door. All right, so let's talk about this. Nacho, I know that you are vision impaired. So can you see this okay? Or do I need to make it full screen? Y'all are funny. So basically what we're going to talk about tonight is the Insta360 1R. And this is the edition that I have. I have the dual lens 360 mod. And if you can see, it's like they're like Lego pieces. So you've got the battery pack, which is the red piece. Then you've got the brain, which is kind of, it's like the computer that has the touchscreen on it. That part has, it's basically how you charge the battery, unless you have the battery charger that can charge multiple batteries at a time. It also has two connectors, so you can connect up to 2 lenses to the brain. It also has a SD slot, and it is USB-C. So it's a really cool little piece. The touchscreen is kind of iffy. The reason I say I'm not a huge fan of the touchscreen, I feel like the touchscreen does too many things. If you'll remember the DJI Osmo Pocket, you know how it was like a tiny little postage stamp of a screen, and then it had all of these different ways to slide. So if you slide, and I don't remember exactly what the directions were, but you slid in one direction and you got a media browser of things that you already recorded, or I think you swipe down to get the settings, and then you swipe up for like resolutions and stuff like that. And so you've got all these different directions to swipe. And if you look at this, if you have the 360-degree mod, you never want to touch your lens because it'll just put a big smear on your video. And if you have the action mod, then it sticks out. So your 4K wide angle mod, that's what they're calling it. If you have that mod on, your finger kind of, my finger doesn't go all the way over to swipe because I've got a big fat finger. So that was kind of an issue that I ran into today a little bit. But if you use the app on your phone, you can do everything you want to from the app. So a lot of times I'll get my camera set up on a tripod or strapped to a tree or wherever I'm recording from, and then I'll use my app on my phone to actually change the settings and all that kind of stuff. So, but this little animation is great. It shows you everything that you kind of need to know about this camera. It has, with the battery pack. They also have a battery pack that is twice the capacity of this, but you can buy a bunch of battery packs. So you can, Nacho just called me sausage fingers, but you can, so I'm a huge fan of engineering marvels. I'm a huge fan of thinking outside of the box, being creative, figuring out a different way to do things. Like I said in my intro video for this camera, there are so many 360 cameras out there, just like this one. Insta360 it's a thin body. It has a lens on one side. It has a lens on the other side. They've been doing that for years now. I love the ingenuity of this camera and how modular it is. Little pieces. I also love the modularity of the GoPro Hero 8. If we can ever get some, I've been on the list to get notified when the mods are actually available to the public and not just available to YouTubers that are in a special club. And they're still not available. So whenever mods come out for the GoPro Hero 8, I'm going to be all on that. But what's up, Bob? What's up, Michael? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. We're talking about the Insta360 One R, and we are streaming to my professional channel and my lame channel that haven't really done anything with in a couple of years. So I've got over 1,000 subscribers on my old channel, and so I'm trying to get the view hours up on that channel. So I'm going to start live streaming to it and put, just kind of some archive videos on it and stuff like that, just to get the viewership up so I can monetize 2 channels. So yeah, we're talking about this camera. I noticed that I think it's the Autel, like the new Autels, they have swappable cameras on them. Unique drones. A lot of the Typhoon series, they have swappable cameras. Whenever I saw the Unique Typhoon H for the first time, I was in Best Buy and I saw a promo video. And so there was this, for one, it was a big old honking hexacopter, which caught my eye at first. But then I saw the drone came with a gimbal, and you could take the camera off of the drone, put it on a handheld gimbal, and get ground shots with the same camera. And like immediately in my mind, I was like, oh, that would be perfect for real estate. You could go up and get aerial shots of the house, and then you could come down on the ground and take the gimbal inside of the house. And you, instead of trying to figure out how to match your footage because you use 2 completely different cameras, you just use the same camera. I thought that was genius. The camera on the Unique Typhoon H isn't the best. And I had some issues when I handheld it, but so give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. There was an emergency. My daughter came in to tell me that my cat's food was everywhere. Gotta love doing a live stream with family in the house. So Steve Carpenter said, what's your other channel, Shawn? So my other channel is just Shawn Ide. Super different. Michael Blade's heading out, so peace out. And then All right. So Bob said, I need me one of those electric bikes for my place. Save on gas for the four-wheeler and the mower. Yeah. So I rode it today and I don't understand it yet. I know there's a way to just use the clutch, but I couldn't figure out how to do that today. Um, and now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of already figured it out. But today I did the pedal assist, and it was actually pretty awesome. So I was pedaling, and then it started moving twice as fast as I was pedaling. So I'm not sure how the motor works. I feel like it's kind of like a weighted centrifuge. So the pedal assist, it just kind of wiggles around. Oh, you want to see the pic of my bike? All right. And it has a really awesome name. It's like Swagtron. So it's got swagger. There we go. All right, so we're gonna stop that. Yep, that's it. So I wanted to get a Rad Power bike, but I can't get a Rad Power bike on Amazon. And so one of the big things about this channel is I really enjoy showing you guys products that I use and then being able to add it to my store. So I wanted to build an idea board of several different electronic bicycles that I couldn't really do that on my Amazon shop. So anyway, as part of my business plan, I really want to show you things. I want to review things in person and then get you guys, give you guys the ability to get it as well. So I wanted to pick a bike that was on Amazon, and I didn't want to spend like $1,400 on a bike. So this one is in the $800 range, but they have a $600 range bike and they've got a $500 bike. This one actually folds up. The only issue that I have with it is the handlebars don't fold down. So you basically have to unscrew the handlebars to get it in my Jeep. But it fits into my Jeep folded up. But what I like about this compared to my Citizen bike that I had is that this bike has a fork suspension on the front. It has that nice big shock in the back. One of the problems with the Citizen it was so rigid of a bike that that it hurt after I rode it. I couldn't ride it more than an hour, and then like my backside just hurt. This one, I like everything about it. I think the seat is. I think I need a bigger seat because I have a bigger seat. But I love it. It's got this motor on the back. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's got a motor right here. And then this is a joint that folds up. And so there's a big battery that goes in right here. And that electric battery runs this electric motor. It doesn't have a computer on it, but I'm not worried about that. I'm actually going to use an app on my phone to use the speedometer and all that kind of stuff. But it's got a battery indicator up here. It's got a clutch. So, yep. And it says with power assist, so it might not have a clutch. I'm not sure. But Resler said, yeah, so Mel says it's a flywheel. So So basically what a flywheel is is it like a weighted wheel? Like it's weighted on one side, so as it spins, because we had a flywheel on like a pottery wheel back in the day, and it was just a big stone wheel that once you got it spinning, all the momentum just kept the thing going. Whereas you think of like the vibrator in your phone has a little wheel that spins, but it's weighted on one side. Resermania said, saw your 360-degree video. It was awesome. Blew my mind how I could turn the phone around to get my own perspective. I assume you need a special 360-degree editor to make this happen. Resler, if you're talking about the 360-degree video that I did with this, I didn't really use any special editing tools for that. You're able to make a video with the app that comes with it straight out of the box. I do use Final Cut Pro, and you can also use Premiere, but Final Cut Pro has a lot of 360-degree capabilities built into it, and so you can. It even has like 3D versions in it, so you can take a 3D video and put 2D stuff on it, and it'll still make it 3D and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I use. But I'm glad it blew your mind. I want to try to put out some more videos like that. I talk about 360-degree cameras a lot, and I've noticed there's a trend on YouTube right now of all the people that talk about YouTube or talk about 360-degree cameras. They've stopped putting 360-degree content on their site, on their channels. So I've fallen into that because there was a trend to use a 360-degree camera to record everything and then point where you want to point in post. But I also love VR, and I love hanging out in 360-degree environments. Now my bike ride, and I was able to view my bike ride in my Oculus Quest without getting sick. But I know motion is something that some people get sick at because the bicycle ride's not as crazy because you can tell where I'm going to go because you can see the trail. But I've had videos where I put 360 cameras on drones, and as you're in the air, maybe I'll turn the drone and you weren't expecting the drone to turn. So that's can get kind of nauseous. Or there's been times when I've looked down on my footage and you're looking at the ground and I get kind of vertigo where I fall over sometimes. So there's that. But yeah, Resler, that's what I love about 360-degree video the most. And that's why I think it's awesome on a drone. Because a lot of your drones just point in one direction, unless they've got the camera hanging underneath, but still the camera points in one direction. But there's been so many times when like a bird's flown by, or, you're pointing in one direction and then a really cool car is in that direction or something happens. So with a 360 camera, you can record everything at the same time. And then like I could record a 2-minute video and I could get a 20-minute video out of that 2-minute video because I could point down, and then I could point over there and do like a side shot, and then I could point over there. Then I could spin around and I could look up at the drone. So you can get so many different camera angles because you recorded everything at the same time. So that's why I think it's the future, and I want to support Insta360 and what they're doing so that it will become the future at some point. I mean, nothing beats a good lens pointing in one direction with a good sensor. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's what I want. Bob Casey, I have a golf cart, but that would be nice for me to run up the road. Yeah, I think it'd be awesome, actually. WrestleMania says, sorry if you've already covered this. I'm going in and out of the chat helping getting the kid to bed. Okay, so we already talked about that. Polly, what's up? Sorry, I'm just getting to your chat 7 minutes later, but I'm kind of gabbing tonight. Shawn, what do you like better, the GoPro Max or the 1R for 360 and reframe? That's an excellent question. So I like the Insta360 1R better because of the modularity, like being able to swap things out. I think that's brilliant. I think the GoPro probably has the best. So I watched a couple of videos this week. I watched one from Hugh, and I watched a video from Ben Claremont, and those two videos compared the GoPro Max with the Insta360 One. I think Hugh's was only the 1X, but they work differently in different situations. So the GoPro Max has a tendency to be darker and more saturated, which in most situations does not compare to the Insta360. Like the video looks better on the Insta360, not as saturated, just because it's easier to saturate than to unsaturate. But where I saw the GoPro Max really excel was at nighttime. Because it was so dark, you didn't see any of the noise in the sky, the dark sky, whereas on the Insta360 1X, you did see the noise. I think I'm in love with Insta360 cameras. I really am. I think it's one of my favorite companies out there. But the GoPro Fusion was ahead of its time when it came out. But what sucked about it was that nobody was able to render the footage. And with the GoPro Max, render time is, Nacho and I did a test at one point, and it was like 1/12 of the time to render a Max file than it was to render a GoPro Fusion file. So they've definitely fixed their rendering issues. And Nacho's chiming in. He said his Fusion did a much better at night for stars than the 1X. I think where the 1X really excels is in nice bright sunlight. And I think the stabilization is great, and the stitching is the best out there. The 1X, it's so thin that like it doesn't even have really a stitch line. The problems that I've seen a lot of people have with the GoPro Max is the stitch line. The stitching uses optical flow, and it's a little bit buggy still. I think they'll fix it eventually, but you'll notice like in the distance, you'll see like, especially if you're on like grass or anything that's like a complex texture, you'll see the optical flow just kind of freak out in the stitch line. Whereas the Insta360 1X does not freak out hardly ever. So as far as reframe goes, Insta360 really did it first. I think the GoPro app is very good. I actually think the GoPro desktop app is amazing. I really like that. I actually use Final Cut Pro for my reframes, but just because I like to get 4K video out of it, and so a lot of the apps will only get 1080 out of it. So I basically turn my so my workflow is I take my 360-degree file, put it into Final Cut Pro, turn the mapping into Tiny Planet, and then I reframe it to a point where it looks like a flat video. So it actually gives me a little bit more of the extra GoPro-y stuff on the side. That's my workflow. And when I pump that out as a 4K video, it actually looks pretty good by the time it's compressed on YouTube. So that's one area where I use compression on YouTube as a good thing. So yeah, this live stream has a bicycle on it. So let's remove that from the chat. And we're going to go here. And I think we're going to pop a little logo up in the corner. What do you think? Because I can. No, I'm going to turn that off. So yeah, so I'm sorry if I'm not caught up into what we're talking about. So Polly says, when you go to transfer files on the Insta61R, do you have to take the SD card out, or can you transfer? So you can transfer USB-C. This little door right here is one of my biggest complaints with the 1R, just because my fingers don't really fit inside of it. So if you pop this door, okay, you've got a smaller hole than even a GoPro. Because if you had a GoPro, this would all be one big piece, and the door is a little bit bigger. But like, I don't know if you can see this or not. My finger's in the way. But it's just a tiny little hole. So I'm going to have to come up with some sort of tool. I've been using my Lightning dongle, and I also used a paper clip to get the SD card out. I take the SD card out, but you can use it as a USB, like as a transfer over USB. The downside of the Insta361R that I have so far, when it has to do with files, is the GoPro files are not MP4 or MOVs. They are Insta360 video files, which is like INSV or something like that. ISV. I don't remember, but it's a proprietary file. It actually helps with rendering, and it's actually a very efficient file. But it was annoying that I had to convert my files today so that I could make that trailer, because I use action cameras when I want to do a quick video, so I can just record the video, throw it into Final Cut Pro, add some stuff to it, and then ship it out. There was an extra step today when it came to the 4K version of this camera, but there's also a 1-inch sensor to this camera. So I've got basically an RX0 version of this camera coming to me. So Resolmania says, I can see 360 VR would be great for home tours, community tours, etc. Other practical use would be a trade show vlog. I agree with that, where viewers can see what they want to see. So much potential. Yeah, Resler, one of my favorite experiences with kind of a virtual tour was the Macy's Day Parade. I think 2 years ago, I think the last 2 years we watched it in VR. And basically all over New York, you've got these 360 cameras, and YouTube, I think Verizon hosted it, and they hosted it on their YouTube channel. And so I could get on my Oculus Quest and watch the Macy's Day Parade in VR. So I was, instead of traveling to New York and standing there in the cold watching the parade, you could stand right next to the street and watch Spider-Man balloon go by and watch the artists sing their songs and stuff like that. Super cool. Nacho Rolling. Mel said, just a thought, maybe change back to the main screen. Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. Nacho said, honestly, I'm tired of jumping on the new camera bandwagon. I will stay with the Max for a while. The sound is great and the footage is good enough. I agree with you, Nacho. I think the Max is great. I think the Insta360 One X is great. I really want a Q cam because it's 8K, and I'd love to put that on a drone. But yeah. Nacho said he bought a Ulanzi case for his Macs yesterday. It's a lot like the old Fusion case. I really like Ulanzi. I've actually talked to the designer at Ulanzi, who's kind of putting different mounts together, and yeah, I think the Ulanzi mods, the mounts are awesome. Mel said, "Oh, that kind of sucks a bit." I don't know what sucks. Sorry, I'm late on that comment. Resler said, "Thanks for all the info. Have a great evening. Have to get going. Peace out." All right, see you, man. Bob says, "Take care, Resler." So yeah, so we are at 8:00. I don't know if I answered all your questions. Does anybody have any questions about the Insta360 that I haven't talked about tonight? The only version that I have is the Twin Edition, so it has the dual 360 and the 4K action mod. But I have ordered the 1-inch sensor mod, and I have ordered the aerial kit for the DJI Mavic Pro. And the reason I got it for the Mavic Pro and not the Mavic Pro 2 is that the Mavic Pro edition does not affect the GPS on the drone, but the Mavic 2 Pro version of their aerial kit basically renders the GPS useless on the drone, so you have to fly in ADI mode the entire time. I don't feel comfortable, especially if I was on the Mavic 2 Pro, I don't feel comfortable putting $2,000 up in the air and relying on my flying skills to keep it up there. So 400 AGL Mel. So MP4 and MOV. I don't know if it will record to that yet. The first time I used the action mod today, it recorded in Insta360 video file format, which requires you to put it into Insta360 Studio to convert it. But I don't know if that's because of a setting. So I would assume it has a setting just like a lot of other cameras. There's a RAW version, and then there's a JPEG version. So I'm hoping there is a RAW video file, because there were a lot of extra things that I could do with that video file when I got it in the studio. So, but yeah, so don't know for sure yet, but so far I had to put it in the Insta360 Studio to get that to work. Nacho said, "If you're not hired yet, is there still a letter of resignation, or is there another title?" I don't even know what that means, Nacho. What are you talking about? If you are not hired yet, is there still a letter of resignation, or is there another title? I don't know what that's referring to. Polly said, asked if I had any overheating. I have not had issues with overheating. It is like between 40 and 50 degrees here. So I haven't really taken it out in the bright sunlight. A lot of time, like my videos will pick up in the summer because I get to go outside and hang out. So in bright sunlight, there might be an issue. Usually when you have a small camera in a small camera body, overheating usually happens because you're recording at a high bit rate or a high resolution, and you have an SD card that can't handle that resolution very well. So your camera is doing like a slower speed of camera. And there's a warning that comes on here every time I turn it on. I'll tell you what that says in a minute. It says, please use V30 SD cards to ensure operational stability. So it's requiring a V30 SD card. So that's important. If you're not using the right SD card in your camera, there's a good chance it will overheat. And that goes with just about any camera. Some of the bigger cameras have a lot of room to breathe, whereas these smaller cameras that like cram everything in a tiny body doesn't really dissipate heat very well. So you'll get overheating issues. I haven't had any overheating issues. I ran the 360-degree video. I forget how long my bike ride was, but I think that was a 12-minute video. And, if your camera's going to overheat, 12 minutes is a good time for it to start overheating. And I didn't have any issues with that at all. And I will probably say usually it's an SD card issue. Or at least that's the issues that I've had in the past with my GoPros and just about any camera that's tiny. I end up getting these like SanDisk Extreme. I usually get a pretty beefy SD card. SD cards are so cheap now, it's not a big deal. So Nacho Rolling says he might get the drone Insta. Maybe. He's probably going to watch my video and see if it sucks or not. I've only seen videos on the Mavic 2 Pro kits, so I might be the first. So Mel said the Osmo Pocket is famous for that. Yeah, I didn't notice on a lot of other cameras because usually you hold on to the selfie stick or you hold on to the tripod when you're filming with them. But with the Osmo Pocket, the DJI Osmo Pocket, since you actually hold on to the camera body, yeah, I noticed it getting really hot in my hand. That's a good point, Mel. I had so much high hopes for the Osmo Pocket. I still think it's a cool little camera. I just got so mad every time it messed up my footage. But so Nacho says he's quitting his new job, but he's still traveling here, but don't want the job anymore. He's humid out. All right, guys. So it is after 8 o'clock. My wife has got some spaghetti down there on a plate for me. So I am going to call it a night. But thank you so much for all of the good conversations. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Paulie. Thank you, Nacho. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Resler. Thank you, Brent. Is that everybody? Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Steve. I think that's everybody. It's been a good night. I'm going to go check this live stream on both of my channels to see how it turned out. I feel like I didn't talk about the Insta360 1R as much as I wanted to tonight, but we had a great night anyway. Brent, I'm going to enjoy my impasta. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos. This week, we're going to go over my EB8 e-bike. We'll put out a little video that I made today. It's not much, but it's pretty interesting. And yeah. Oh, I didn't even show you my new bag. So I got this bag. It's a roll-up bag. And it's got all these little compartments to hold all of my Insta360 1R mods. So that will be up on the channel soon. And yeah, I just made a big mess. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your hobby. And yeah, catch you guys on the next video, guys. Peace out.